Today we're going to talk a little bit about things that people can do to work on their shooting skills away from the range. Becky, can you kind of give us some tips on things that people can do at home?
I definitely can. And there is surprisingly a lot that you can do before you even go to the range. So for new firearms owners, we're going to talk about dry firing and just the act of manipulating your firearm, even pulling the trigger, but just with an empty gun. And before we do that, I'm going to take this out. This is an empty chamber indicator. If you don't know what those are, they're real helpful for the range officers. Some ranges require them. So understanding that you can have this, and it's a great little tool to make sure everyone knows your gun's empty. But dry fire. Dry fire is the act of manipulating this firearm without ammunition, all right? So I am going to be able to do things like understand how to load my gun and insert a magazine. I can understand how to release the magazine. I can learn how to lock my slide back, how to let my slide go forward. There's even another way to let my slide go forward, which would be grabbing the back of the slide and just slingshotting it or letting it go. So all these basic manipulations that I otherwise would have to do on the range with ammo, I can learn to do them safely in a controlled way. I can focus on things like when I rack my slide, I keep it downrange. I don't want to turn the gun. So I can work on all those little things and build good habits without ammunition in the firearm.
Okay. So Becky, when you mention dry fire, I think of actually pulling the trigger. What do you say when folks say that you should not dry fire or you cannot dry fire a gun?
Well, I would say that that is sometimes true. So if you have like a rim fire, you don't want to damage the striker. So understanding the manufacturer's guidelines for your gun. This is a center fire 9mm, so
Okay.
I know I can dry fire this one, so I'm going to dry fire it.
Great.
So when I am practicing and dry firing, I tend to be working from a holster and practicing for competition.
Right.
So I'll work on things like my draw and magazine changes. For someone who's brand new and has never gone to the range before, something as simple as understanding my gun is ready to shoot and it's on safe, and I'm going to work on picking it up, keeping my finger off the trigger, building my grip, taking the safety off, lining my sights up, acquiring the target, and pulling the trigger. And watching my sights while I pull the trigger and after I pull the trigger. So all these basic manipulations of the gun, I can get built up with dry fire.
It seems like you can really get comfortable with your own weapon at home without actually having to shoot.
Yes, you definitely can. One other thing you can learn is the reset on your trigger. So if you're a new firearm owner and you've never understood what reset means, so when I have this gun and I pull the trigger, I can chop the trigger, keep it pulled back, and then as I rack the slide, I keep it there and I let it go, and you hear that reset. You can hear and feel the reset, and you understand that what it takes, how far your finger has to come back off the trigger to reset it. And that's something it's just good to understand about and get a feel for your gun.
That's great. Those are some interesting tips. We appreciate the information. Folks, if you'd like to learn more, you can follow us on social media, and you can go to winchester.com.